Hey Gearheads, and welcome to GT Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I am your host, Cory, and on this week's episode, I definitely have a fun one for you. I have a returning guest with her husband to talk about yet another rally that she is participating in, and not only is it another rally for her, this is another rally for both of them, but it is a husband and wife duo of Andy and Mercedes Lilienthal. You may remember Mercedes from our conversation with her not that long ago, where she was actually involved in the Rebel Rally in an all-electric Volkswagen ID4 with all-wheel drive, which just added a whole nother layer of complexity to her journey and her trip with the Rebel Rally. And now I had the joy of having them both on because coming up this August and September, they will be traversing 5,000 miles in the Pacific Northwest up into Alaska and Canada in the Alcan 5000 Rally in a brand new Subaru Outback Wilderness, which, if you have followed us on YouTube for any length of time, you know that we had one last year for just a day and absolutely fell in love with that vehicle. Looking forward to getting some seat time in one again sometime soon. Don't know when that will be, but just a truly spectacular vehicle. And just a great couple. I'm so excited to share this episode with you. So without further ado, I will get out of the way and we will bring on Andy and Mercedes. Mercedes, welcome back. Andy, welcome to GT Garage Talk. How are y'all?
Thank you. Good. Yeah,
Doing
we're
very
doing all
good.
right.
We'll just jump right into it. Mercedes, we last spoke with you about your last rally adventure in the Rebel Rally in an electric vehicle, which was a journey unto itself. We will put a link in the show notes to her last episode there. But y'all have got another rally coming up together as a couple that I'm just going to let y'all spill the beans on it because you've been living it and getting ready and preparing for it.
Yeah. We are going to do the 2022 Alcan 5000 rally. Unlike the 2020 Alcan 5000 winter rally, which we did a couple years ago, this one we won't have to worry about like freezing to death. Nice. So that'll be nice. Whereas the Alcan winter rally went all the way up to the Arctic Ocean, the route for 2022 is a little bit different, definitely a bit warmer.
Okay.
And they kind of do this like the Olympics, where every 2 years is a winter, every 2 years is a summer. So 2020 was winter, 2022 summer, 2024 will be winter again. So,
okay.
But it's 5,000 miles approximately. It's always a little over, I think, or it's darn close. So we'll be going about 5,000 miles, about 1,500 or about 30%, 1,500 miles, 30% of that is going to be dirt and gravel. And we're doing it in a new Subaru Outback Wilderness. So
yeah, we're partnering with Subaru of America on that.
So that is one of the most exciting bits to me because I have sampled that vehicle. It wasn't even a press vehicle loaned to me. It was a vehicle off a dealer lot that they wanted a commercial shot for. And oh yeah, while y'all have it out there for the commercial, you can review it as well. And
cool.
Did some fun, fast off-roading in it out here at Barnwell Mountain, out here close to me in Gilmer, Texas, and absolutely loved that vehicle. Would buy one. 10 out of 10 would recommend to someone wanting something fun, off-roady, but big enough and comfortable enough for the whole family. So y'all are about to really experience it in all its goodness over 5,000 miles, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what better way than to do an endurance rally with a brand new car, right? You've got the Subaru Outback Wilderness, you've got 5,000 miles plus, you've got 10 days to do it. So yeah, we're really stoked. We're honored to be partnering with them on the rally. We've had a long-standing history with Subaru of America, whether it's reviewing their vehicles or we've owned a few different Subarus. We just took possession on a 2022 Crosstrek with a manual transmission. We just took
like our
2
own
days
actual
ago.
vehicle.
Our own actual vehicle, not one that we're reviewing, but so we're Subaru owners again. And yeah, we've covered them as far as like David Higgins, Travis Pastrana, Bucky Lasik, and Subaru Motorsports with Oregon Trail Rally for many years. So yeah, lots of different facets for us and Subaru. So we're excited to do this.
My goodness. What a great mixture. Y'all are in. Where y'all live in the Pacific Northwest is like high on my bucket list of places to go. And this sounds like a very scenic view of that area. So tell us a little bit about the expected terrain. I know you said about 30% of it is on gravel and dirt, but what are you expecting with this 5,000-mile endurance rally?
Lots of mosquitoes.
Hopefully not.
No.
No, they all live in my backyard, so we've got you covered.
Yeah. So it is going to start in Kirkland, and then we'll go up to Quesnel, British Columbia. We'll go up through places like Telegraph Creek and go up to Whitehorse. And then the farthest north we'll go is actually going to be Dawson City. Previously on the 2020, we would go even farther north. But it's going to go as far north as Dawson City. We're going to cut into Alaska, into Skagway. And then we'll go as far to the east as Yellowknife. And then we're going to finish in Jasper, Alberta, at the top of the Icefields Parkway kind of area.
And they just got done, the sweeps team just got done pre-running the course to make sure that everything was good for all 5,000 plus miles of this massive event. There's a lot. I mean, a lot of people might think, oh, if it's mostly pavement, you're going to be fine. Well, when you get up to the roads that remote and that up there, shall we say, further up north, they can be in pretty interesting conditions. So we expect a lot of broken pavement. We expect dirt, probably a lot of washboards, gravel. This year, I think it's going to be a lot rougher of a road.
Yeah, they actually say that the winter one is easier on tires because it's
and
mostly
suspension.
Snow and ice and slush and that kind of stuff,
things.
right? Which is going to be a little bit more forgiving. We're hoping that we won't have too many problems. The Yokohamas that come on the Outback Wilderness, we've actually run those on our own personal vehicles in the past and can attest to to their strength. So we're happy about that. But we'll have a full size spare anyways. The vehicle comes with a full size spare, and like Mercedes said, there's a whole sweeps team that can help out, which you'll never get behind anyway. So.
And we'll also have our tire patch kit from ARB. Thankfully, we haven't needed to use that on any of the events yet, but there's always a first time for everything. So along with that full-size spare, we're set.
So much like your adventure with the Rebelle Mercedes, this is going to be essentially a stock vehicle, right? That's one of the reasons why Subaru is partnering with y'all, is to show the capabilities of what you can go buy and drive off the lot.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the main reasons. I wanted to show the capacity, the capability of it, everything that vehicle has, just bone stock off the showroom floor. We are going to be partnering with a couple of different companies, though, to add a little bit of that gusto, so to speak. So we're going to be adding a light bar and bracket from Rally Innovations. Mounted on that for front auxiliary lights, we're going to have Light Force lights, which we've run Light Force for, I don't even know how many vehicle builds. 4, 5, 6 different builds. They're Australian-made company, just excellent. They're going to have an OE supplied Thule basket, rooftop basket, in which we're going to have most likely a jerry can. We might have some storage boxes up on top of there too, but we'll have MaxTrax recovery boards. And I think with MaxTrax, you never know what might happen, right? If you slide up into the ditch, or if you need to help recover somebody else, if they're stuck on something, you just don't know. And if you're that far remote and in the wilderness areas, then I think definitely recovery is important. On top of that, we'll have a Factor 55 hitch bracket mount with a shackle in the back for any rear recoveries if needed, or pulling anybody else out, which we've done in the past. And then also we are going to be using Scosche mounts. We have different radio communications on the interior, so we're going to be using all different kinds of mounts of theirs for either the emergency channel. Our buddy team comms will have like this smaller buddy car system so that nobody's left behind. Right. And then also smartphone, and then the RICTA Rally app.
So you're well covered in technology, communication, and connectivity with everyone that's involved, making sure you are progressing with everyone else. Don't get stuck down in a hole down in the woods somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. The cool thing about this vehicle is with all the capability that it has, other than a couple of little things, there's no real modifications needed. It's
Right.
got 260 horsepower. It's got an 18 and a half gallon tank. We'll likely be able to get over 400 miles of range on that, because taking into account the fact that we've got that, a lot of gravel sections. But,
And I think with that too,
lot-
we've got ground clearance too of 9.5 inches. So speaking of that gravel,
so you don't have to worry about too much about obstacles or potholes or anything like that. There are people that do this event in classic cars, old Mustangs like from the '60s and some other classic Mini Coopers, and that's awesome, and that's hardcore. That's pretty awesome. We're gonna be like in the lap of luxury in this thing. I'll tell you what, with all the ground clearance and the nice interior with all the accoutrements and all that. Like this is going to be cush. So
well, and especially with this being the Wilderness edition, it's got greater approach angles, departure angles, and breakover angles than just the regular Outback. So not only do we have increased ground clearance, we've got added approach, departure, and breakover. So if we do have to get in a situation where we are off camber or we need to just really get around some things, if they're fallen trees or some have you, we'll have that added opportunity.
When we had ours, we also had a TRD Pro 4Runner right next to it, and it had 9.6 inches of ground clearance. So 0.1 more inches of ground clearance in a dedicated truck-based off-roader. And it was so funny to see the two parked next to one another, because the way I likened it was the Outback just looked like he was up on its tiptoes the whole time, but it was just ready to pounce. It was so much fun out on the trails and such. So you mentioned y'all just bought a Crosstrek. I did happen to catch that online. Andy loved your description and pre-answering of all the questions, getting all the stereotypes out of the way. Have y'all, as of this recording, as of this moment, have y'all had any experience with the Outback Wilderness?
No.
This
will be our first time in an Outback Wilderness, other than, of course, seeing him on the road. Our previous experience with regards to Subaru, we had a Forester for a bit, a 2012 Forester, which we bought new.
Yep.
And then we decided we wanted something fast, so we bought a WRX in 2013 and had that for a few years. And then and now we're back into the Subaru family with the Crosstrek. This is the first time, but I do know that I've read lots of articles and I'm familiar with Subaru's capability, so I think it's pretty exciting.
Well, and most everybody that we know, either from the media end that has taken them off-road or even from the enthusiast owner end, they absolutely love them. And we're excited to be able to showcase this vehicle and see what it can do and what some of the challenges may be, because no vehicle's perfect,
right?
No platform's perfect. So we're going to be sharing all of those details, the nitty-gritty, what are the pros, what are the cons, all of that type of stuff after the rally.
Well, that is what I am most excited to hear back from y'all on this. I joked about wanting to bring my wife along in a future rally, just seeing how y'all handle it and do it. But I really am interested in how that vehicle handles, because I mentioned the one we had and filmed a review of on our channel was actually loaned to us from a dealer for a commercial shoot that we were just tacked on at the end. Well, you're already out there, go ahead and have some fun. And we were incredibly grateful for it, but we also knew this was going to be somebody's car. Press rigs serve a purpose and live a hard life because people like you and I put them through their paces and see what they're really capable of. So we did hold back a little with our Outback Wilderness, but even still, like you said, everyone that y'all have talked to that has had one or experienced one, I left with a big smile on my face. I did not expect to have as much fun with that vehicle as I did. And I think it was a great first vehicle out of the gate with that Wilderness badge, because I've also tested the Forester. It's good, but that Outback is really the primo one to get.
Cool, yeah.
Nice.
We're looking forward to it. When we did the 2020 Alcan in the wintertime, we did it in our personal vehicle, which was a 1991 Mitsubishi Pajero, which is a right-hand drive turbo diesel SUV.
In the winter.
Yes.
And it has 100 horsepower and 170 foot-pounds of torque. and it weighs like 4,200 pounds or something like that. So it is glacial. Like we almost got passed by the Knik Glacier in Alaska. So, but it was extremely comfortable and whatnot. We had really nice Shieldman seats and all this stuff, but rapid it was not. The idea that we're going to have like literally 160 more horsepower and all these modern amenities is going to be great.
Well, it's going to be a lot more torquier too. It's got 277 foot-pounds of torque versus what did our Pajero have?
170.
Yeah. So
you're not going to know what to do with yourself in this vehicle.
No.
You are truly being
bring like the Great Poupon along with us because it'll be like driving a Rolls Royce compared to what we had before.
Exactly.
But a vehicle like that is really, and we discovered this on the 2020 Alcan, a vehicle like a Crosstrek or in this case, the Wilderness, that sort of vehicle is really the perfect kind of vehicle for these Alcan rallies that are long distance. They're over mediocre at best terrain when you're not on the pavement, and
going faster distances too.
Faster, sure. And so we found that the people that had vehicles like the Subaru Forester X, there was a couple that had a RAV4 Adventure, a couple Porsche Macans. So you get a little bit of ground clearance, right. You get all-wheel drive and decent power. I mean, you don't have to have a ton of power, but the ability to keep up in some of the snowy, hilly terrain, or in this case, it's going to be dirt and hills and whatnot. But that ability to maintain steady speeds, especially during the time, speed, distance challenges, is really going to be paramount.
Yeah. I really just cannot wait for you are living the dream on this one because they know what you are going to be taking it through and they're giving it to you anyway. Plus you really get to test out every bit of capability that they've baked into it. So it's really a dream-like situation because they have put their trust in you and your backgrounds and what you have done and said, you know what, we believe that you can get this vehicle to the end because we've done our part. Now it's your turn to do your part, which kind of transitions us into your background. Mercedes, we'll start with you because we've already chatted with you. We'll kind of get a short elevator speech of your background in the automotive world.
Gosh, my background in the automotive world, I am a full-time freelancer, so to speak. So I've got a couple different legs of the business that I run primarily. Half of it, or a good portion of it, is automotive writing and photography. The other half is PR and marketing efforts for automotive-related clients. As I move through branching out and expanding, primarily a lot of it is off-roading, overlanding, vehicle upgrades and updates, trail adventures, the people behind the builds, all that type of stuff. But hopefully I'll be able to get into more travel-centric things and ancillary segments to be able to just talk about those things too, because they're so important. I myself have been doing this for a little over 4 years only, but I've always loved cars. I've always been a gearhead. Andy and I started dating a little over 22 years ago, and it was on the road, on the way to a car show, and lowrider car show in Minneapolis called Hot Import Nights.
It was not a lowrider car show. It was an import tuner show.
A lot of them were lowriders, but lowered.
Love lowriders, but it was Hot Import Nights.
But a lot of them were lowered. But anyways, that being said, is I've always been into cars, and I've always loved cars, and just have always driven, anything I get my hands on that are all stick shifts, which of course are Crosstrek is a 6-speed manual right now. Mm-hmm. But that being said, is I had a career previously before this, which was almost 20 years of commercial interior design and project management. You can always switch. You can always do something different. You can always take the skills you've learned and put that towards something new and fresh. And so I'm one of those cases.
I appreciate your story because I'm smack dab in the middle of that. I left an 11, almost 12-year career as an analyst in the grocery world and said, you know what? I've always loved cars. Pandemic's going on, all this fun stuff. Let's see what we can do here with the podcast, YouTube channel, do some freelance writing and get out there and really live my passion. And so hearing people from you that have done it just completely switching gears, switching lanes in life, and following a passion gives me inspiration just to keep on chugging and to keep doing.
And I can attest to your qualification, and just your content quality that you put out there is paramount. It's just awesome, and you know, all the awards that you've won along the way, and you've come really far. You've come really far in a very short time.
Well, thank you. Again, putting the skills from a nearly 12-year career in a corporate environment, analytics, I lived numbers. So being able to like apply that to something I'm doing and passionate about has really allowed me to, you know, hopefully pull the right levers, spend the money in the right places, and to keep pushing and doing more so that I can do more and more from there. That's really exciting. As far as your off-roading, you both have mentioned how 2 years ago y'all did the winter version of this rally. And I've already alluded to the reason we had you on the last time, Mercedes, was doing the Rebel Rally, but that was not your only Rebel Rally, correct?
Correct. So last year was my most recent Rebel Rally, and that was partnering with Volkswagen of America for their all-electric, all-wheel drive ID4. But I was a privateer in 2018, and I drove my teammates' husband's work and personal truck.
Nice.
So I started that in 2018, and that was right after, literally a few months after I gave up my career and just transitioned over to freelance. So not only did I completely switch my life and turned everything upside down, I started really off-road driving and rallying myself. So it's been, 4 years or so in some. And then whenever Andy and I have a chance to get together, I switch from the driver's seat to the navigational seat, and then he drives.
I can't read in car. I just get ill. So I'm
and he's a really good driver. He's an excellent driver.
So funny enough, I found that out today. If my wife and I do end up following in y'all's footsteps and doing a rally, I was on a media drive just today as we record this for the F-150 Lightning, and went out, teamed up with another journalist, and he was driving first and I had the map in my hands. We're in the city of Grapevine, Texas. Like, there was a loop, there was a paper map in front of me, and I still got us turned around and going the wrong way. So yes, I would be the driver. My wife would be the navigator. I've already figured that one out in my brains.
I think realizing your talents and where your strengths lie is an amazing thing. And then if you can partner that with somebody else that has the exact opposite skills,
yes,
he's a great driver. I think he's a much better driver, a more seasoned and veteran driver, especially when it comes to off-road ability, than I am. But I do have a little bit better of a navigational ability, shall we say.
I'll definitely give her that. I'm not going to lie. I would much rather have her be the navigator anyway. She's without a doubt a better navigator than I am. You know, I mean, I'm the guy. I can get to where I'm going as long as I got Google Maps going or something. Right. You know, like, that's fine. But yeah, she's definitely a better navigator.
Well, and I think the biggest thing for us as a team is we have a silly thing that we do in front of or before we start any rally or any long trip. And it may sound really silly, but we pinky swear, you know, all sorts of things, right? Before any
vacations, keep it on the road, don't hit any animals.
Yeah. Don't hit any baby seals.
Don't hit anything.
Nice.
Don't be good to each other. Don't kill each other. Have fun. You know, all of those types of things.
It's just this kind of reminder thing. It is silly, but it's this thing that it is rooted in something, and that something is like, listen, you spend 10 days together on a competition in a steel box,
locked in a steel box
on the Alcan 5000.
Yep.
And tempers can flare, especially if she misses a turn direction, or I take the wrong turn, or if I get us stuck, or if she gets us lost, or whatever. Like, tempers can flare, and that pinky swear thing is just this little thing we do to remember. Like, listen, we just need to cut each other a little bit of slack here. We're doing this for fun, and even if we weren't doing it for fun, you still need to cut each other some slack and like, just chill out, because getting angry isn't going to help either one of us.
Well, and I think if we go in with the attitude of he might get us stuck, I might get us lost, or we will do that to each other, and having a safe word, although I don't think we've ever used it. But I know some teams that do use a safe word in case it's just, in case it's like, all right, all hell's breaking loose or heck is breaking loose. And then they're just like, all right, there's a word, and then just cuts it out. And all right, or just, if you have to take a second, if you can not talk or listen to music or whatever it may be to diffuse the situation, but talking about those things before you partner together, especially if it's your first couple of times of doing it, things change, right? You just figure out a plan, and you can always morph along the way if that doesn't work.
Hey, that's genius. It's reframing your brain space, making sure you're on the same page. And I totally get it. I took a 3,500 mile road trip from East Texas to California and back with my wife, with my 4-year-old son, which that was like his biggest trip ever. And coming off of potty training and, trying to explain, okay, this is the last like real stop for a while. Please go. No, I don't have to go. Sure enough, out in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, I got to go. All right. Well, you're going by the side of the road. So just fun stuff like that. So I appreciate that as a nice hack, even like you said, for long road trips, long adventures, just reframing your mental mindset before you get in that steel box and head down the road or the path or the trail, wherever you may be going. That's a nice trick.
Yeah. And especially like Andy alluded to, you have a lot of challenges, especially when it's time, speed, distance rallies. They're all on public roads. They're all at or below speed limits. It's not a race, but it's very competitive. You have to be on point, en route, on the correct second or millisecond if you need to, and make sure to not get lost. So that's a lot coming at you at the same time, whether you're a driver or a navigator.
I mean, that goes for whether it's just one of our local Saturday rallies here,
right,
or if it's a 10-day multi-country, Alcan 5,000 kind of deal. Just trying to stay cool, calm, and collected whenever possible, because really, I mean, your best decision making is going to happen when you're in the right frame of mind.
And especially if you're husband and wife, you do have to go home to the same home together afterwards.
Yes.
So you have to just really make sure to love each other enough to, be okay with that.
When I first started talking about wanting to do TSD years and years ago, it took us a long time before we did one, but I remember talking to a friend of ours. He said, "Oh, no, don't do it with your spouse. Do not do it with your spouse." He says, "I've seen so many people do it. They end up in these horrible arguments and somebody sleep on the couch that night," kind of thing. I said, "Well, I think our communication is good enough that we'd be able to hack it." And we have had our moments where, when on TSD rallies, or even just in travel in general, where, we didn't remember the pinky swear. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, or, one of us cuts the other one some slack and be like, "Okay, you get 10 minutes to complain." And they're like, "Okay, we're just going to keep going here."
Yep.
Well, and one of the other things that we try to remember is don't meet fire with fire. If one person's really amped up because some jack decided to, totally cut you off and threw you off the loop and you're this or that or whatever, what have you happen, don't meet fire with fire. So don't get even that much more upset as a person that's receiving that anger, because it's not directed at them necessarily. And even if it is, so just try to be the bigger person and just meet fire with water and just help kind of squelch all of that angst or anger that might be going on.
So there you have it, relationship and life advice here at GT Garage Talk from
You can also follow us for more recipe ideas.
Right? Shopping tips and hacks.
So, Andy, kind of pivoting over towards you now and your background in the automotive space, what is your resume, so to speak?
I was able to get a job out of college. My whole deal was I wanted to be in the automotive industry. And my first job out of college, I have a psych degree and a minor in journalism and minor in history. But I needed to get into cars. It was my lifelong thing. How do I do this? So I ended up at a hobby publication called Scale Auto Magazine that was all about building and collecting model cars. But at that publication, I was editing and writing features about not only just like how to build a model car, but the history pieces behind them. The Ford's grabber colors, vintage gassers, pickup truck history, all kinds of history bits. So people who were building these replicas had a source. So that was great. After about 5 years in the industry, in the magazine industry, I wanted to to move to Oregon because my father was out here and I loved it out in Oregon. And lo and behold, I was able to get a PR position. So switched sides of the desk and went to work for Warren Industries. Warren Industries is best known for winches and four-wheel drive hubs.
Right.
And I got their PR position, and I have it's where I picked up a love of off-roading and you know, vehicle recovery techniques and that kind of thing. And so in 2008, I unfortunately got laid off with lots of other people. And I went full-time freelance, and I was consulting and so on and so forth. But I also started my first blog site, which is called Subcompact Culture. At the time, gas prices were going up. Not that anybody knows what that's like.
No.
And then the rise of small cars started happening. And I always had a small car of some sort. So at the time, I had a 2007 Toyota. But it's lowered in sway bars and all kinds of engine work and all that stuff. I'd had a Scion XB before that. And so anyway, I started this website, and lo and behold, I ended up on the media noticed, and I ended up, going to media events and appearing on, radio shows and all kinds of stuff. And so it was pretty cool. And then in 2016, actually in 2010, I got rehired at Warren and set up their social media program. So, and still did their PR, and I'm still at Warren Industries, although I have come and gone a couple of times. So, yeah. But I also started in 2016, another website because I didn't want to pigeonhole myself as just a small car enthusiast. Like, I love all kinds of cars and trucks. And so Mercedes and I came up with crankshaft culture, which is everything automotive.
Right.
Our tagline is every vehicle is an adventure, and we're united by horsepower.
Yep.
And so it doesn't matter what you drive. We're all really cut from the same stone. We all enjoy motorsports of some sort. Whether that's a TSD rally or a stage rally or F1 or just vintage cars, whatnot. So we started that as an outlet of our own. But I never actually stopped writing. I always have written for somebody at some point. I've written for everybody from Dub Magazine and Peterson's Four Wheel and Off Road to Gear Junkie, The Truth About Cars, a whole bunch of other publications as well. And yeah, I've continued to do that. So,
and I think, in addition to Andy's job, he, as he just mentioned, is a longtime writer and is off hours, and then I do that full time. So we're kind of the automotive journalist duo, one of the rare husband and wife teams of that.
I want to say thank you, Mercedes. I can definitely see your PR background just because of the notes that you sent my direction. Very thorough, very insightful to your background. So, Andy, you also teach vehicle recovery classes and things like that, which again goes with your work with Warren and in the off-road world.
Yeah, that's true. So I do teach vehicle recovery classes. I'll be teaching a winching 101 class at the Northwest Overland Rally this week and the BC Overland Rally next week. So we'll be teaching just the ins and outs of the basics of winches, how to select a winch, basic techniques, that kind of thing. And then I'll also be teaching a class on basically what it's like to live with JDM, Japanese domestic market vehicles, as we have 3 of them right now, currently in our possession, bought and paid for. And then I've written extensively about JDM cars and the ins and outs of them, including the Delica debacle that's going on in the state of Maine.
So as he's doing all of those rallies for the latter half of June, I'm going to be actually one of the drivers of a classic car or a vintage car rally that's called the Great Race. So I'll be leaving on Thursday, and the race is from Rhode Island to North Dakota. And so I'll be one of the female drivers of an all student female team on behalf of the RPM Foundation. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be leaving here soon. I've got some of my rally stuff already packed up, but you never know where you're going to find yourself. This is all on road, a lot of highways, some interstates, a lot of country roads. But yeah, this will be, let's see, our chariot of choice is going to be a vehicle. It's a 1966 Mustang Coupe. Nice. That is loaned to us from the LeMay Auto Museum, America's Auto Museum in Tacoma, Washington. So very honored to be a part of that. And then I'll be writing about that with publications on the back end. And one of them will be for the New York Times.
Wow. Yeah, y'all definitely live a very fun, adventurous wildlife, and I love being able to keep up with y'all through the wonders and joys of social media. Found y'all on Facebook, but y'all are also Crankshaft Culture. As you mentioned earlier, y'all are on Twitter, Facebook there as well. So lots of stuff going on, ways to follow y'all, correct?
Absolutely. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, although I need to do more YouTube stuff. And then our own writing endeavors, different publications.
All right, so I'm going to pivot now into a segment that Mercedes is familiar with, but it's called Random Misfire, and it's just to get to learn you a little bit more. Mercedes, I will include you on this. This will kind of be a question posed to both of y'all. I've got a long list, so Mercedes, you may get some of the same ones from last time. You may get some new ones.
That's okay.
We'll
have
see
Andy
how
go first.
And just to get to know you a little bit better, figure out your personality a little bit more. But the first question off the bat I ask of everyone, do you name your vehicles?
Yes.
Any fun names of note in your vehicle history?
If Mercedes hasn't said them before, our first four-wheel drive was a very teal 1995 Suzuki Sidekick that initially and eventually got the nickname the Teal Terror. And we drove that all up and down the western coast of the United States and part of Canada. And so we've had that. And then our first Mitsubishi Delica van was called the Space Tractor,
Nice.
which was fantastic. And all of our subsequent diesel JDM vehicles have, because they do quite literally sound like tractors, have all gotten a tractor name. So we currently have the Rally Tractor, which is a 1992 Mitsubishi Pajero. We have the Terra Tractor, which is our 91 Mitsubishi Pajero. And then our current Delica is the Travel Tractor, as it's our off-road camper van. And our 2007 Yaris never got a nickname.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Well, our new Crosstrek hasn't gotten a nickname either.
Yeah, because our WRX was Rexy.
Yeah.
The Forester wasn't anything.
No, we didn't.
That didn't have a name. The brand new one, yeah, we only had it for maybe a day.
Yeah, we've had it for like literally
24
about 36 hours.
So yeah, we don't have a name yet, but that one I'm sure will earn its name.
Do you feel as if the Outback Wilderness will earn a name over your 5,000 miles?
I don't know. Wilbur?
Wilbur?
Wilbur the Wilderness? I don't know.
Oh, Wilbur. Oh, you just coined a new hashtag.
Wilburness?
Wilbur the Wilderness.
Yeah. It's going to get its own Instagram account.
It might have a few. Yeah, right.
Anyway.
It might have a few nicknames by the time we're done with it.
Yeah, I'm sure all positive.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
We'll have to see.
Stay tuned on that one.
Okay. So, Mercedes, this goes really well with your upcoming rally. I definitely already know the answer, but I will allow the conversation to flow from your answer. New or classic?
Oh, well, both. Both. I'll let you know after the rally more about classics, but I honestly haven't had a chance to drive very many classic cars.
Yeah.
But I love the styling. I love the stories, the history, and everything with them.
I think that what's interesting about that question is, as we all age and as we see that a 30-year-old car is not from the 70s anymore. Yeah. Anyway, so I look at my driveway that has a 91 and a 92
and a 94
and a 94. Those are 30-year-old cars almost. And
that just makes us old.
Well, and so are we considering 90s cars? Talking like 50s, 60s.
That question hurts my soul a little bit as well. So it's a relative term.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it.
Yeah. I mean, we just bought a new car, so that's cool.
Right.
I would have to say I'm a little bit. I like new cars. I like the auto review time length of having new cars, which is around a week usually.
Mm-hmm.
You get to experience it, but I'm not even kidding. I mean, the Crosstrek is still a fairly simple vehicle overall.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ours doesn't have, because it's a manual, doesn't have eyesight or adaptive cruise or anything like that. Yet there are still things like it's got Starlink, and I have yet to even read up on how to use it on this car. I mean, I know people that have Starlink that go use it, in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. But I definitely getting in a brand new car that's whisper quiet. I mean, people are like, hey, you think a Crosstrek is whisper quiet? Yes. I think a Crosstrek is whisper quiet because you should hear the vehicles that we drive otherwise.
Yes.
So,
but we're pretty eccentric though.
Yes.
We are the underdog oddball vehicle lovers club, I guess, or maybe we just formed it. So we come from our perception and our opinion from a very wildly different perspective than a lot of other people.
Absolutely agree.
I truly appreciate the collection that y'all are building, because prior to interviewing you, Mercedes, I had no idea what some of these vehicles were. I was like, my goodness. So yes, I truly appreciate your eclectic oddball collection going on over there.
It's kind of like us, right? We're a little bit off the wall, and it seems to work. So
yeah. All right, this one seems obvious given the topic that brought us all together, but off-road or on?
Oh, well, I'm going to have to say both. I work in the off-road industry, and I love off-roading, and there's a lot of things that are great about off-roading. I also very much enjoy on-road stuff. I just went go-karting with some buddies at a fast fun track around here, and I love on-road stuff. I really do. The nice thing, I used to autocross. Okay. And autocross was a lot of fun. But I was a fair weather autocross. If it wasn't like 72 and slightly overcast, I was like, I don't want to spend my entire day out there picking up cones and getting, paying $50-$60 for 3 minutes of seat time for the day.
Which usually was like 100 degrees. Yeah. So then you're standing on the tarmac, working the track, dying of heat. Yeah. So,
and the nice thing about off-roading, especially when you live out on the West Coast, you don't need, you can do it rain or shine. You can, you don't need, there's no off-road park to pay for.
Right.
If you go into the forest and stay on the trails and all that stuff, clearly, which you should do. But it also for us, I think I probably speak for Mercedes, that it sort of nourishes or feeds our bit of wanderlust that we have. Mercedes and I met traveling.
Yep.
And we met traveling on the way to a car show. And, we've always, while cars are, kind of the center of the universe in terms of our interests, travel is also right there. And so, we've been to a variety of different countries. We've combined off-roading and travel in Iceland when we were there. And we've been to New Zealand and Australia and done the kind of the van life thing there and temporarily. But if I guess right now, if I have to say something, it would be off-road, just because that's what mostly I'm into these days at the moment. Ask me again tomorrow.
I say ditto. For me, it's all about the vehicle or whatever that has wheels that gets you from point A to point B, but it's the experience that takes you along the way and the people and what you see and smell and hear and understand and grow from. That's really the key for me. So
I think I should add a caveat in here too, like, especially the older I get, or maybe it's just at this stage in my life, because I've always been this way, is I am always inherently drawn to vehicles that are practical and can do a variety of things. Like I've had, really low to the ground sporty cars and all that kind of stuff. And, they're a lot of fun on perfect pavement and great weather and all that stuff. And then, you hit a pothole and you're just like, oh my God, did I just blow a tire? Or, did we just bottom out? And did I lose the oil pan? And having a vehicle that has ground clearance and you don't have to worry about that is really nice. Even when we've done some of the TSD rallies in our lowered Toyota, it's a lot of fun in the corners, but there will be bad pavement or there'll be dips and we'll bottom out and you're like, oh man. Whereas when
it was just the fender liner that flew out.
Yeah. And when you do it in a 4-wheel drive, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Your cornering isn't going to be as quick or as fast necessarily, but.
Well, and I think that's why the Subaru Outback Wilderness will be quintessentially perfect. I mean, this car was born and bred for this type of a rally that we're doing for the Alcan 5000. So, it's got enough ground clearance, but it's got the power where a lot of our Mitsubishis, they just don't have, because they're, about the speed of a tractor, hence why the name.
Yep. I really am excited to get your feedback on that car after this rally.
Cool.
Oh, let's see here. Ooh, hand wash or a drive-through car wash?
Oh, God, that one?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is an interesting one. So first of all, we're not gonna talk about the Crosstrek because we literally just got
Right.
it. But of the 4 cars that have been in the driveway for the last several years, I couldn't bring it. I can bring one of them through an automatic car wash anyway. So we do occasionally bring our old Toyota Yaris through a car wash, but obviously hand washing is preferred. There are those days where here in Oregon you get 13 seconds of sunshine,
Right.
and like I don't have time to wash it. I can still get it through an automatic car wash. It at least gets some of the bugs and grime off.
Well, the moss. I mean,
and the moss
and the mold and mildew out here, because everything just grows green if you don't touch it.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna have to say
hand wash. in stereo.
Although I do partake in the occasional auto wash.
Yeah.
Hand wash.
One of these days, I've decided I'm going to get my brother on because he is 2 years older than me. He is one of the reasons why I'm so into cars. And we'll talk about our experience growing up, constantly washing my mom's car when she got it. And then maybe tease or tell the story of how hand washing vehicles saved my life, or theoretically saved my life. We'll just leave it there. So for longtime listeners, that's something to watch out for. When I finally get my brother back on, I will share the story of how hand washing has supposedly saved my life. We'll phrase it that way.
That's a headline right there.
Yes. And that's why I don't want to tell that story while interviewing. I don't want to steal the thunder, because like that's the eye grabber. Like, okay, I've got to hear this. So yeah, I never want to steal from anyone that I'm interviewing. So I'll interview my brother. Let's see here. We've got a lot of road trip questions. So this will be appropriate. Y'all are about to spend 5,000 miles in a car together. Favorite road trip snack?
Oh, okay. For me, off the top of my head, first thing that comes to mind is beef jerky.
Beef jerky, yeah.
I can tell what Mercedes is.
Well, the luxury that I never allow myself the opportunity for, but occasionally have, are sweet tarts.
Oh, okay. It's a long thing. Anyway, we've always had sweet tarts in the car. I don't eat them, but Mercedes always. No. It's always been the joke, like we have to have sweet tarts on the road trip.
Usually we have protein-based stuff though, so a lot of trail mixes. With the rally in the winter, they said that we needed to eat more and drink more water than you think that you would be in the Sahara, desert with 100 degrees. Because it's so cold and it got so crazy that your body just inherently was losing so much sweat because it was so dry.
And we had the heater on all the time.
Yeah, the heater on. And seat heaters, our awesome Scheelman seats had seat heaters. And I always say that wrong. But dyslexia. But so we had things like individually sized peanut butter pouches that you just opened up and you were able to just squeeze them and eat on the go, or cheese sticks or things like that are just protein based, that were easy enough for you to have and eat while driving and keep going.
So here's a little life hack for anybody doing the road trip thing or the long distance rally thing. There's a company out there that makes caffeinated gum called Run Gum. It's actually for like marathon runners. So the idea is that you're not drinking lots of water, then having to stop to empty the water. So it's caffeinated gum, and I used some of it on the Alcan 5000. It was great because you just get enough of a boost in the middle of nowhere and all that. So.
It was an Olympian that actually came across it and created it.
So if Run Gum, if you're listening, reach out to us.
Well, as a runner myself, I'm very interested. So I'm going to have to check that one out. Let's see here. 5 questions in. Number 6, 2 wheels or 4?
4.
Yeah, that one's a very easy no-brainer for me. Like, my experience with 2 wheels involves a pedal and chain in the middle, so that's as far as I'll go.
Yeah, I love motorcycles. I think they're amazing. I think they're beautiful. I go to the One Moto show in Portland, which is an unbelievable motorcycle show. I totally respect it. I'm just into 4 wheels.
Yep.
All right. So Mercedes has spent plenty of time in an EV. I don't know, Andy, your experience with EVs, but ICE or EV?
I think that whether we like it or not, I think that ICE is on its way out and EV is on its way in, and that's the way it's going to be. And so be it. It'll likely be the evolution of the automobile as we know it, and resistance is futile. So I think some of the EV stuff is amazing. I think once the infrastructure gets a little bit better, I think that once we get those 10-minute charge times down to go 80 miles or excuse me, not to go 80% or whatnot. I look at my phone. When I finally got a phone that could charge up like 80% in 20 minutes or whatever it is, I was like, this is unbelievable. Yeah. And I do love the sound of a hairy-chested V8 or the whirl of a turbocharger. Don't get me wrong, but I also love the instant torque and the quiet sound of an EV. So I'm all for progress. So to declare myself one or the other, I refuse. So.
Yeah.
I was going to say I had to choose both. So easy answer for me.
Not to plug my own stuff on my own podcast, but my experience today in America's #1 selling vehicle, gone electric, has really... I've sampled a lot of electric vehicles, and driving the F-150 Lightning today was like, all right, this is going to be the vehicle that does it. The price point is still a little too high for me. You can get in one for $40,000, but
wow.
Right.
Big trucks like that should not move that fast.
It's funny. Right. I remember years and years ago when we were talking about, right when the Nissan Leaf first came out. I remember going to a press event here in Portland for the Nissan Leaf. And I remember saying, once they come out with an electric F-150 is when we'll know we'll have mainstream EVs, because of course it's the best-selling vehicle, right? And so I'll walk that back a little bit, but the idea that now we do have an all-electric F-150, it's a pretty big deal. So EVs are definitely, again, the industry has decided that's the technology that they're going to adapt and go for and go after and sell to and market to the public. And I think you better get used to them. And I think they have some fantastic traits. So.
All right. Question number 8 here. Do you dance in the car? I can say I am guilty as of today, driving back from Dallas. I had to turn the tunes up and bust a move. But any car dancing or car singing going on in y'all's vehicle?
Definitely car singing. Less car dancing. It has happened before, and I'm not going to say it won't ever happen again.
Usually, though, we just let the car the car or the road speak to us.
Yeah.
Almost always when whether it's a major trip across the country just to see family or a major rally, most of the times we actually don't listen to anything. We're kind of oddballs that way.
Yeah, I am currently driving a Mercedes E53 with a turbocharged straight 6, which sounds good, but I also, had to test out the premium sound system in that one. And when Uptown Funk came on, you can't sit still during that song. I don't care how old it is.
Yeah,
baby.
You know what? The fun thing about music is my other passion. And there are times where you're driving through a really neat locale, and that right song just happens to be on, and it creates this indelible memory. Like I remember listening to this one. It was it's a Scandinavian electronic music group called Riksup, and driving through the mountains in Alaska with that music on, like it's indelible. Like every time I hear that, I think of driving through Alaska, and I love that. I love that timestamp on your life.
A lot of the times we'll listen to techno music or acid jazz that's a little more laid back. Reggae.
Right, a lot of reggae.
Reggae. Tawate for electronic stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, mostly electronic music, reggae, some bluegrass every now and then. I always feel like bluegrass is a good travel.
Yes.
Good travel soundtrack.
Yeah. All right. Well, if y'all have the time, I've got 2 more questions for y'all for our Patreon subscribers who support us over there on Patreon. But before we sign off here on the main episode, I just want to give y'all a chance to make sure I'll put it in the show notes, but for everyone listening, best ways to find y'all.
Yeah, crankshaftculture.com is our main website. We're also at facebook.com/crankshaftculture, Instagram at crankshaftculture. I'm on Twitter at crankshaftcult. Mercedes is
Writer with Grit on Twitter.
Right.
But you can find me at my name pretty much anywhere, Facebook, Instagram. It's Mercedes, like the car, but not named after the car. And then Lilienthal, which is Lilienthal.
We also have a YouTube channel that needs more content. So, but anyway,
because there's only enough hours in the day,
Right.
and we have the flash and the fun from all these rallies and car reviews and all that type of stuff. But there's a lot of long hours behind the scenes of being on the computer and all that type of stuff to make all the magic happen.
Yeah, it's the untold story of living that YouTube life or riding life, whatever the case may be. So, Well, I want to thank y'all so much for joining us this week. Mercedes, thank you for coming back. Very much looking forward to following along with your story. We haven't even said, but this will be going on in August and early September. So if you want to keep up with them and all that they do, go find them on the social medias.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly when we'll be on the Alcan 5000.
And we're starting to actually take parts deliveries now of some of the special items that we will be putting on said Outback Wilderness. So stay tuned. And we're really excited to be part of Subaru of America's Team Subaru.
All right. Well, thank y'all very much.
Thanks so much for having us on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
And there you go. Some real life advice on top of everything else going on with Andy and Mercedes. They are a very busy couple between the two of them. Brought them on to talk about the Alcan 5000 that they're doing at the end of August, beginning of September. And oh yeah, Mercedes is doing an completely different rally in between now and then too. So lots going on there between the two of them. So much fun to keep up with their adventures because yes, they did just buy a Subaru Crosstrek, and I just got a big kick of how Andy shared the news. He made sure to address all the Subaru Pacific Northwest stereotypes when he did make his announcement of that Subaru Crosstrek. I just applaud him for getting a manual. It's very on brand for the two of them, but I thank them so much for coming on. You can keep up with them. I will put links to everything for them down in the show notes below, but you can also go to our website and check out this episode there. We'll have links there. GTGarageTalk.com is where to find me and all that I do, and like I said, I will share the links down in the notes for this episode to them. So thankful for them coming on. Wish them the best of luck. Can't wait to hear more from the Alcan 5000. But until next time, gearheads, bye.